Well, Raw was entertaining, full of life. Everything was worth their time. 3 hours of fun and enjoyment got me on the edge of my seat. Are you really believing anything I'm saying right now? Because if you are, you're a fool. This show, again, has failed. Monday Night Raw has failed week after week after week after week. They don't hit any stride. They don't move anywhere. The only thing that I found remotely entertaining, and it's pretty sad, the only thing that's being built up with any kind of hype, any kind of enjoyment, or any heartfelt feeling towards it is Triple H and The Undertaker's match in Australia. Everything else means nothing. It's just they're doing it, they're going through the motions, that's it. The matches absolutely sucked tonight. Not one match stood out to me. I didn't care for any of this. This whole show was utter, complete boredom. Did we get to see Kevin Owens back? Yeah, the next week after he said he quit. Then he decides to go after Bobby Lashley. Now, someone please tell me, why wouldn't Kevin Owens come back with Paul Heyman? Why couldn't they have put Kevin Owens on the NXT brand for the time being, since they've had nothing for him? You know? I don't get it. I really don't. I think, honestly, either Paul Heyman with Kevin Owens, or Kevin Owens just going to NXT to start a NXT versus WWE type storyline. I think that would be a very good idea for them to do, and it would maybe build some kind of hope for the WWE main roster for anyone that comes from the NXT brand, but probably my idea would not work because of Vince McMahon's input into what the storyline would go for both brands going at each other. So that wouldn't work. Bottom line is, this show absolutely sucked. The matches weren't all that great. We got to finally see new tag team champions getting the titles off the B team that absolutely blows. That's what the B stands for, blows, because that's all they do, is blow. Sasha Banks and Bayley were in tag team action against Dana Brooke and fucking Ember Moon. Why Dana Brooke and Ember Moon were tag team partners is beyond me. They have no history together. They have no fucking nothing. And why Dana Brooke's getting opportunity after opportunity to be in a match is beyond me as well. So who the fuck knows, who really cares? But Sasha Banks and Bayley won their match. Where's this leading to? I have no idea. It seems like they built the story and then they stopped building it and just left them where they are as tag team partners, pretty much putting them completely out of the picture for any world title match within the women's division. So, Sasha Banks and Bayley seem to just spin their wheels but go nowhere in the process. Either storyline against each other or storyline leading to them, one of them becoming a women's champion on Monday Night Raw. So that's a real downside to everything. What else happened? A lot of tag team. This was a tag team fest, and yet tag team wrestling in WWE absolutely sucks outside of the NXT brand. What else? Oh yeah, we had the Bella Twins kick off the show after to be in the first match of the show, and we had the Bella Twins beat Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. And they were defeated on live TV. We also had Chad Gable and Bobby Roode in tag team action against the Ascension. Why? I don't know. The only thing I hope for with this tag team arrangement that WWE decide to put together is to eventually turn Bobby Roode heel, leading him with a decent rivalry with Chad Gable, and then moving him on to bigger and better things. Chad Gable can later on rejoin back up with Jason Jordan, reintroduce him, and bring back the American Alpha with the tag team division, because God knows the tag team division really could use these two guys right about now, because they've put on good tag team action. Alexa Bliss had a moment with Elias. She seems like she's playing a storyline as if she has sexual feelings for Elias. You know, based on her tone of voice and how she was acting and interacting with Elias, kind of gave me the idea she's attracted to him. So yeah, that later on led to Ronda Rousey interrupting them and starting the match between Natalya and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss performed an arm bar that Ronda Rousey is very well known for doing, and made Natalya tap. That's their big little story they got there. Woohoo! You know? Who gives a flying fuck? The show's got nothing going for it. It's just like it goes through the motions and it gets on to the next show. I don't quite understand this. I don't know why they are doing this. But I'll be quite frank with you. I'm not too impressed with how WWE is doing their shit on television. The tag team titles were on the line. B Team were defending the tag team titles against the Revival, but later on were beaten the hell out of, and then the title shot was just automatically given to Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Later during that matchup, they won the tag team titles, became new tag team champions. Whoop-de-fucking-do. We also had fucking, let's see, what else? We had the wonderful tag team patch with the Authors of Pain with Drake Maverick, the GM of 205 Live, being a manager to a tag team while he's a manager to the 205 Live brand. How that works, I really don't know. I really don't. I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't understand what brought this on. There was no storyline build to tell the story to why he is linked with the Authors of Pain. They just throw him in there and that's it. No creative reasoning. There's no mindset behind it. There's no logic behind it. There's no explanation to it to develop the character within the team. Unfortunately, they just go ahead and say, here you go. Drake Mavericks is their new manager. He's going to help them get to bigger heights. Really? That is what your imaginative mind gets you? A bland, just throw them in there type of thing, and that's it? No explanation, no storytelling to why this happened. You know, every movie develops their characters. Without development of your characters, giving them a background story, reasoning for being there, or reasoning for the action or what's going on within the story, it leaves the audience completely dumbfounded to the fact that they don't really care. Now, that's pretty much what they're doing here with Drake Mavericks with the Authors of Pain. There is no story or explanation to why he's there. He's just saying he's there. That's it. And they faced a bunch of fucking jobbers that no one's ever heard of, and enhancement talent. They beat the shit out of them and won their match in less than 2 minutes. Big whoop. What else? We had Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. And I have to say, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker segment was the only good thing about this show. And that's pretty fucking pathetic. Really. I've never seen anything so sad in my life that two old fucks who are washed up, can't wrestle anymore, are banged up to hell, and deserve to be retired at this point with their age at where they are in their life. And deserve, really, to be honest with you, retirement. And have time to be with their families and enjoy their elderly life without being in the middle of that ring. And for them to be able to put over a show like they do, but they can't get the rest of the fucking brand off the ground and make them as entertaining as Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, is beyond me. If Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker worked in this era along with Triple H, they would have never gotten off the ground as characters. There's no heart within this show. There's no heart within WWE. The only heart is with Triple H with that NXT group because he has the passion to want to make wrestling wrestling. I'm pretty certain if anybody out of that bunch of WWE was watching the in-ring talent that was at All In this past Saturday, I honestly know for a fact it was Triple H. I'm pretty certain he wants to recruit some really good talent out of the independent wrestling scene and bring them to the WWE to stop some of the competition that they're starting to accumulate. Because there's no doubt about it. There is competition accumulating and building up to want to go up against WWE. I honestly believe that the independent wrestling scene is fed up with WWE. WWE basically, in my mind, was actually looked at by independent wrestlers as a gold mine, as a way of getting out of the hard knocks type life, traveling with, without being involved with a company set instead of an independent contractor type life. They were able to work within a company instead. But as time has gone on, WWE is no longer freedom of creativity. They're more constricted and very much in the box, not outside the box, where they become more authentic as a sporting event for the crowd to be entertained by. We want wrestling entertainment. We want to be entertained through the wrestling and through the involvement of the characters that you're building towards for a fucking match. Now, how does that build Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman? Two guys that last year put on probably a couple of great matches together. They gelled well together, and they really roughed the hell out of each other through those matches. They've done nothing here. Since they've started this has been nothing but a bunch of low bullshit idea writing that led to nothing. We started the show off, just to get into some of these promos, with Braun Strowman and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre explaining the reasoning to why he got with them. Pretty simple, straight to the point. Very understanding reason why he would want to join with them, since he was since they were his tag team opponents. They're going nowhere really, so why not lead on to a guy who is one of the top-notch guys on the WWE Raw roster? So that makes sense to me. But as you look at them, you don't really see this chemistry that these guys share with each other. There's nothing in common with them. They have nothing to offer to each other. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, on the other hand, are one thing. But when you add Braun Strowman to the mix, they don't really need to be locked up with him. They're going to be held down through Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's not going to go nowhere because Braun Strowman's being used as a tool to help Roman Reigns proceed as getting over with the WWE audience. Tonight, I believe it's working. I mean, for the moment, you take Roman Reigns away from the Shield, and he's going to be right back to where he started from, being booed. The crowd was booing Braun Strowman. And the reason why the crowd's booing Braun Strowman is because he's tagged along with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. They're beating up Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the process of trying to hurt Roman Reigns because they're all linked together as well. So with that combination, of course they're going to boo Braun Strowman because they're hurting two characters that the fans actually enjoy and they all agree on. A lot of fans enjoy Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. They don't hardly ever boo either one of these two. So with that being put together with Roman Reigns, of course they're not going to boo Roman Reigns while he's with with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Probably the only time you'll hear them boo him is when he's by himself or he's just trying to talk on the microphone. So that's really all I have to say on that. This opening segment led to a brawl and then them getting arrested for no fucking reason at all except for Baron Corbin being a heel manager. A heel manager and they get arrested for having a brawl. Boy, could you imagine if Bret Hart and Steve Austin back in the day had a brawl and one of them got arrested just from having a brawl? I mean, I understood back in the day when Stone Cold went ahead and did a stunner and hurt Vince McMahon because he's the owner of the company and he was attacking someone who was not an in-ring performer at the time. And him being arrested, because technically that's a way of assault, but they're both in-ring talent. Of course they can have the right to attack each other. They're both qualified wrestlers, and they're not just employees. So that I did not quite understand. Now, if they would have won a bout and had the Shield get pissed off at what happened, they were outmatched by Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and they attacked a bunch of people in the back, I could look at that as a way of arresting the Shield. But they weren't attacking anybody. They were attacking the guys that they were being beaten up by last week. So I don't understand, nor do I care. So we move on with the show, because the show is absolute garbage. Finn Balor was supposed to face Baron Corbin again in the main event, but later on was switched to Braun Strowman to face Finn Balor for the third or fourth time in the last couple of months, since June, during the Money in the Bank build-up. Whatever, man. I just give up with this company. There's really nothing to look forward to. You could try whichever way you want to see that there's something worth watching on this crap, but there really isn't. This show is a dead horse that will just keep on going because Vince McMahon will allow it. He has not made changes to the show. He has not put any effort into this show to make it worth your while to watch. That's all there is to it. There is no heart, as I've mentioned in several other reviews, besides just WWE content. So, that's all I have to say on that subject. Going back to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, very good promo. But they're part-timers. Triple H is a part-timer. I really don't get it. How they can get those guys off the ground like they are with just talking on a microphone, but with the other group of guys that are young guys who are full-timers aren't doing shit. And it's done on purpose. There's no if, ands, or but about it. If you think that this shit is actually being done by accident, like these guys are just not able to get over because they just can't get over, you're crazy. That's all I have to say on that. I mentioned about Sasha Banks and Bayley tag teaming together with Dana Brooke against Dana Brooke and Amber Moon. And we had a segment with Bobby Lashley and Jinder Mahal meditating in the middle of the ring. This is a WWE wrestling show. get what I just said. A WWE wrestling show. If I wanted to watch yoga or be a Buddhist, I'd go to a temple full of Buddhists. I don't understand any of this. The whole segment with Bobby Lashley and Jinder Mahal was a joke. It's all about based on Bobby Lashley having an anger management issue. Really? Could have fooled me. Because outside of his in-ring matches, and even when he's having a match and he's tearing his opponent apart, he doesn't seem to express a lot of anger. Most of the time, I see him smiling. Complete opposite of what Bobby Lashley used to be in TNA wrestling. If anything, Bobby Lashley should have stayed in TNA wrestling because they seem to do more for him there than WWE is doing for him here. I've never seen Bobby Lashley so low in his career. It's sickening. I will admit this. Bobby Lashley is not charismatic. He's not a guy that's going to get you interested in what he's got to say. But what he does in the ring, when you make him serious and you play him seriously, he is entertaining. If you go ahead and watch TNA wrestling with him, he's a good character. He plays the role of a lowered down version of Brock Lesnar, based on the fact that he worked for a lower company from WWE. But at the end of the day, Bobby Lashley was a top tier talent in TNA. You bring him to WWE and they're tearing him apart and turning him into absolute garbage. I could just tell in his voice he really did not care to be there. The whole thing was just a joke to him. Honestly, I think based on his facial expressions and the look in his eye, he just finds all this to be completely insane. Or whatever, I'll just do it and get paid kind of attitude. Not any attitude that I used to see in him when he was with WWE or TNA at the time at all. This is definitely not the same Bobby Lashley I'm used to seeing. I'm not saying he's a guy that belongs in the main event scene for a long period of time or anything, but give the man a break and give him a world championship run for a little while, kind of thing. But quite frankly, this is a joke. And I'm really not liking this. But Kevin Owens made some sense. He went after a guy he mentioned last week, injured his best friend Sami Zayn. So, with that being said, that makes perfect sense to why they made Kevin Owens come back and attack Bobby Lashley. But why come alone? Why not have a manager of some kind? Somebody to convince him to get back to WWE a week later and get his ass back in the ring and kick some ass and get back to the old Kevin Owens. Instead, we just see Kevin Owens go back to the old him on his own with no one there of any mentorship or any helping towards building Kevin Owens back into wanting to come back to the Monday Night Raw roster. Just shows up the next week, beats the hell out of Bobby Lashley, and that's that. So I don't know. Finn Balor and Braun Strowman, going back to that match, pretty much ended with Braun Strowman kicking Finn Balor's ass. Then the Shield come out. They were mentioned before the match even started that they were let out on bail, and they're coming back to the WWE arena. Well, they come back to the arena after the match is over with Finn Balor. They have this cop vehicle with Roman Reigns driving in the front. Why? Did they steal the fucking cop van? I mean, that's kind of what I was seeing here. Roman Reigns comes out of the driver's seat, opens up the back trunk where Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were, which should have been where Roman Reigns was. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Roman Reigns, once again, positioned in the top tier of the Shield, making Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose look inferior to Roman Reigns, not as an equal. Pretty fucking pathetic, in my opinion. WWE does whatever they can to make anybody help get this bastard over. And why they invest so much time into Roman Reigns is beyond me. Do they have some kind of agreement with Roman Reigns when they hired him on? Oh, you're part of the Samoan family. Great history, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to sign you on to an agreement where you can go ahead and get main event shot after shot, no matter how much the fans cheer you or boo you. So I don't give a shit. You're my man, and you're going to be the star of the show. And everyone else can suck your cock, including me. Yeah, that's what Vince McMahon probably did. Because, quite frankly, there ain't nothing here that spells anything to me that these guys are equal. They make Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose look inferior to Roman Reigns. Period. As they were charging down to the ring, or walking down to the ring, they were attacked by half of the fucking Raw roster. All heels. Kevin Owens was the first person to appear on the run, attacking these guys, and a bunch more attacked them with Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Braun Strowman. This eventually led to a demise of all three of them, and they stacked them next to each other in the middle of, or right on the outside of the ring, on the floor. And they beat the holy hell out of them. So that's what we got. That was the ending. So maybe this means that Baron Corbin has developed a new corporate faction with these guys. I mean, if that's the case, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult, a little bit more of an obstacle, making the Shield more of underdogs. Now, if they want to make half the fucking Raw roster be tools to the Roman Reigns propaganda they got stored for him some more, by all means, I guess at this point, go for it and get it over with, because it's not fucking working. But, I mean, the fans were booing Braun Strowman and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, but as I already mentioned, Roman Reigns is linked with Dean Ambrose and fucking Seth Rollins. So you got that all linked together. That's what you're going to get, guys. You're going to get a bad reaction from the crowd. But that's all there is to it. I think WWE is making a huge mistake. They should have kept Roman Reigns by himself, making him an independent wrestler by himself on his own. Just because you got the Shield members, all three of them, on the same roster, on the same brand, I should say, doesn't mean they need to be back together. It takes away the championship. You don't see the championship on Roman Reigns' shoulder anymore. So that's, once again, going backwards on what they were trying to do with the Universal title. You introduced a championship 2 years ago in 2016 of August SummerSlam, and you introduced that title. It begins with the first person who gets it with an injury. Then you have Kevin Owens, who looks like he has promised to being a good Universal Champion, and he ends up being a lackey with Chris Jericho and needing someone else's help to retain a title, which makes him look even worse. And does not make him a valuable Universal Champion, making the title less prestigious. Despite the fact that design itself in the first place is absolutely horrible and could have used something to make it different from the WWE Championship itself. So, I mean, you ain't got much of Universal Champions that were very valuable to the title and brought any prestige to it. Not even Goldberg himself made anything prestigious about that title, because all it was passed on to him for a one last run type thing, and have him lose to Brock Lesnar, who he was supposedly dominating between November all the way up to March and April. Okay, whatever. Doesn't make any sense to me. And then you have Brock Lesnar, who never appeared to defend the championship for the almost 2 years that he had it. So yeah, there you go. And now we got Roman Reigns as WWE Universal Champion, and he ain't even carrying around the belt anymore because he's with the Shield. Where this makes any sense, I don't know. Then on top of it, you got Braun Strowman being used as a tool to help Roman Reigns get over even more. The whole thing's a fucking joke and really downright nauseating. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I have nothing more to say on this horrible fucking show of Monday Night Raw. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And also, guys, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I'm off. This was the review of WWE Raw, September 3rd, 2018. I'm out. Goodbye.